or just let me know if there's anything that I can fill in the gaps here or there. So I'm going to share my screen right now and make sure everybody can see this. I think I've got it. All right, good deal. Okay, I think we're good. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat box. I'll answer them at the end, or we can, get right on to Q&A as we go through. So really excited about this. I found out about this technology about 6 months ago and decided to try it out myself. It's worked out better than I thought it ever would. I wasn't quite sure about it. It was brand new to me. I had a lot of questions, out of the gate. Did a lot of research, started asking people a lot of different questions to find out, more about it. Was this viable? Is it something that can be, done in a big way? Can you introduce it to other people and help them out and do it? So, from my house in New Fairfield, Connecticut, I started, and got a couple of these devices and started to see what it would do. And, it's paid off. I'm going to show you a little bit about how we do that. So first we'll talk a little bit about the two companies that we're actually partnered with in this, and then share with you a little bit about how the whole system works, what we do, and then how you can take advantage of it from a monetary perspective. I love this because it doesn't take a lot of time to do this. It takes a lot of connections. And right now we're actually kind of racing to make sure that we get as many people registered for this as possible, because there's no cost to do it. Literally, you can make money without spending any money at all if you wanted to. There's many ways to do this. So let's talk about the two companies that we're connected up with, because it is, success is where opportunity and preparation meet. This company Helium and this company iHub Global have come together, and that is exactly what is happening. Massive success is happening right now, and it's going to continue for a long time. So first, I'm going to talk about Helium a little bit, and I'm going to really start now and then kind of go backtrack from there. This is a very recent article that came out in Forbes about the 5 biggest Internet of Things trends in 2021 that everybody needs to know now. And the first sentence on this thing: the Internet of Things is one of the most prominent tech trends to have emerged in recent years. And I love down below where it says, devices of every size and shape, from cars, kitchen appliances to industrial machinery, are connected and sharing information digitally on a global scale. So that's what the IoT is, the Internet of Things. All right, so now let's go back in history to 2013 when Helium was formed. It's Amir Halim, who was actually the world's #1 gamer. He literally made millions and millions of dollars in gaming. He co-founded the company with Sean Carey and Sean Fanning. And this is Sean Fanning. He's the founder of Helium. He also, if you're familiar with, what happened in the music recording industry about 20 or so years ago, he founded a company called Napster, and he was a disruptor in that industry. That company is now basically Rhapsody. And the reason that we have companies like iTunes and satellite radio companies and, Pandora, all of these things came about because he saw the future of what was going to happen with the recording industry. And he basically, changed their tune on being able to play music all over the world without having to actually physically own it or buy it and have access to a library. And that's what happened. And so he's doing the same thing here because he saw a way to get into an industry and really be not even just a disruptor, but actually be the one that pioneers the industry. And if you look on Crunchbase, which is a great place to look up companies if you're ever interested in doing that, I research a lot of companies that I've done in my past, and currently I do it. So there are some notable companies and organizations like Khosla Ventures that are responsible for putting DoorDash and Impossible Foods on the map. I mean, Munich Re, one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world. Everybody knows who they are if you're in that industry. Union Square Ventures, Twitter, Coinbase. You've heard of these companies before. GV, that's Google Ventures. They put Uber, Nest, and Robinhood on the map. And then Mark Benioff is an angel investor. He owns Salesforce.com, one of the largest software companies for businesses in the world. I mean, a lot of the companies that I've worked with and currently work with use his software with Salesforce. So other groups, SV Angel, Facebook, Airbnb. I mean, you can see there's something happening when companies like this are all ganging up to invest in a technology. You think they know something? They definitely do. They know a lot more than I do, and that's a big indicator. And one of the reasons that I really looked seriously at this. What I'll also show you is that in 2015, here's an article from Forbes talking about Sean Fanning's Helium platform is launching. And the premise here of this article and what was happening at that time was Sean and Helium, they were looking to get these devices that track the Internet of Things devices, a network, a wireless network that's not Wi-Fi and it's not cellular data. It's a different network. They were looking to get those into businesses, and they thought that was their best way to get into markets, was to go to all the businesses and get these devices around, because unlike Wi-Fi that only go, a couple hundred feet at the most, these go like 3, 4, 10, sometimes 30, 40 miles to connect. So it's easy to get a network connected when you have great distances that these things can transmit. And so what he found over time was that it might be actually better and stronger and faster to get everybody involved. Why just involve businesses? I mean, these things can sit in somebody's house. And so in 2019, Helium launched the world's first peer-to-peer wireless network that anyone can connect into, that actually can build, that anyone can participate and build. It's as if, you go back a bunch of years when they were just starting to get 3G and 4G and now 5G, having like Verizon and AT&T, you have no way to participate unless you've got a lot of money. You have no way to participate and get your own cell tower. Well, guess what? In this, you get to have kind of your own mini towers, and you own the infrastructure. This is called the People's Network. It can never be owned solely by one company. It's owned by the people. So once you have a platform going and you have a device set up, you own that portion of the network. As long as you own that device, it is yours. So then Time chimed in, Time magazine, with their best 100 best inventions of 2019, and Helium was in that list. A new way to connect. They talked about the Long-Fi network. That's what it's called. And they talked about how they're using a specialized blockchain currency that is married to these devices. So there's a blockchain cryptocurrency that's in here called Helium that's married to the Helium infrastructure network. It's an incredible thing that they put together. And then in 2020, Forbes puts it as one of the top 20 Internet of Things startups because they considered it a startup. It was kind of ramping up and learning and growing. And then in 2019, it kind of really hit the stage. And so this industry, the worldwide commercial market, on the bottom of this article here, it talks about how it's growing. It's going to grow, or it has grown, but basically 385 billion in 2019 billion, and it's going to go to 687 billion by 2025. That actually turns out to be a lower estimate because it's already grown in leaps and bounds way before 2025. Because right now, here we are in 2021. And it's already an $800 billion industry. They were thinking it was going to go to 600 or 700 billion by 2025. Instead, it's 800 billion today. With 8.4 billion devices connecting to this network, and by 2024, it's going to go to 2 to 3 trillion. With 70 to 80 billion devices, that means there are going to be somewhere between 62 and 72 billion devices coming online in the next less than 3 years. If you think about that kind of trend, we are right in the thick of this thing. So these types of devices that connect to the Internet of Things, to this network, it could be small appliances, smart collars, occupational health things, motion detectors, leak sensors, magnetic door sensors, things for air quality. It literally could be just about anything. A couple of the companies that are connected, a few of the companies, Lime scooters all over the country with scooters, they're tracking their devices with Helium. The reason they're doing it is because Helium, it costs one thousandth the amount that a cellular data connection costs. And it uses infinitely less power than Wi-Fi. And so these devices, you can stick a device on a scooter and the little tiny lithium battery or anything that they power it with will last for years, up to a decade before it needs to be charged. and it'll send data back to the network, letting that company know exactly what's going on with their scooters and skateboards or bikes or whatever. So that's how it works there. Salesforce is using it in all of their ID badges, their tags for human resources, tracking and things like that. So they don't get overwhelmed by groups and resources that they can leverage. That's what Salesforce is doing. This company, Digital Matter, is tracking everything that happens as far as just location and what these their infrastructure, their assets do. So preventing theft and optimizing utilization by making sure that things are working and moving and doing what they need to do, and they're doing it at a fraction of the cost of what they used to do. Like museums, they're using this to figure out, okay, did anybody get close to our picture? Like proximity detectors, as well as humidity and moisture, or that's the same thing. Moisture and humidity, same thing, but humidity and temperature sensors and lighting, so that they know when to rotate these pictures and keep them and preserve them. How about you go to cities and you know exactly where a space is for you to park because they have sensors in all the parking areas. Every space has a sensor that tells you if there's a car there or not. You know exactly where to park before you even get there. Airly does air quality monitoring for people who are passionate about the environment. They have things for, hey, here's where you can go to hike for clean air. This is what's happening with data and tools necessary to let everybody know about dangers, like what's the air quality after a forest fire and things like that. They have things for like Carevan that uses this for elderly people or people that are sick or too young, and they track them with bands that can go in their jewelry, on their clothes, or on a band on their arm. So people with dementia can't get lost. They know exactly where they are. There's other things too that they hook it up to with real-time monitoring for health reasons as well. So Invisaleash, they do the same thing for dogs with collars. Pet location monitoring, some of our people are really into their dogs and pets, cats as well. So here's one. These things are being built in the middle of nowhere because farmers are using this type of technology. And that's why we need people to build this network all over the country and blanket it everywhere. Because there are farmers that are using this for agricultural purposes where they're sensing what's happening in the soil from fertilizing to water, and they know when to do certain things. They'll even know when it's time to pick their crops based on all the data that they get. And instead of having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on cellular and data plans to do it, they can spend very little and get away with it, at a much lower cost, and it's a lot more convenient. Nestle just popped in. This is a new one. They put it on all their water coolers within cities right now, and they can't wait for the rest of the network to open up around the country so that every water cooler, imagine these truck drivers, they don't have to, people that drive a water truck, they don't have to go up all the flights with the water only to find out that, a couple people were on vacation or we weren't here for a week and we don't need water. Back down you go, and you wasted all the gas getting there and all that. They adjust their routes and they become more efficient because of this. So the Helium network that started as a fledgling little thing in 2013 and knew they wanted to build something, and it turned into something incredible. And really in 2019, actually 2020 is when the first hotspots really started getting put out there in 2019, end of 2019, really. But now, from the start all the way until June 14th, 57,000 hotspots. So for maybe it's like a year and 3 months, 57,000 hotspots. And just to put that in perspective, in the last 10 days, that number has jumped to almost 70,000. That's how fast this is accelerating. There are millions that are going to be required to make this happen. And it's why the Helium token, the cryptocurrency that's attached to this network through blockchain technology, it's why it's growing so fast. In the last year, it's up 4,000%. I'm going to show you some forecasts from the best experts in the world in crypto that give the most conservative estimates because they're mostly right with their conservative estimates. They made some conservative analysis of Helium. I'm going to show you what happened there. So now you know about Helium. Let's talk a little bit about iHub Global, because iHub Global is the world's largest marketing arm for Helium devices and the only leveraged affiliate program that utilizes Helium rewards. So we have a network set up here within a network. It's kind of how it's set up. We have a business within a business. And so this is it. Here's the iHub hotspots. You can see the ones on the bottom. Those are called rack devices. Those are the ones, the go-to newest models that are out there. They're about the size of an alarm clock radio, like a clock radio. They use only 5 watts of electricity, and they transmit on the 900 megahertz frequency, which is a long-range frequency that used to be used for cordless phones in people's houses back in the 80s and 90s. That's what they used, was 900 megahertz. That's been repurposed for the Internet of Things. And so this is COVID-proof. It's recession-proof. It's not MLM. It's not network marketing. This is an affiliate model. It's just like any sales program at any company that you know. There's no recruiting required. You can, but you don't need to recruit to make a lot of money doing this. There's no monthly fees. There's no auto ships. You can make money 24 hours a day. We have this thing called the passive income generator. That's what we call these hotspots, the helium mining hotspots, or a pig. So they jokingly have been saying that, we're helping people to become pig farmers. So there's a free website and a free back office forever, and there's no competition. We literally don't have a competitor, not one. Just incredible. It's a great place to be. So just to give you an idea of how this works, these devices mine helium. Okay, so they're mining helium constantly. And what happens is, as these things are mined, these start showing up in your Helium wallet that you can set up immediately when you sign up as a free affiliate. Very simple to do. So if your box, let's say, earns 100 HNT, that's a helium token. 50 of that, if you're the one that owns the box, like it's sitting in your house, you own it, or your business, or wherever, or you own it and you placed it somewhere else, you get 50 tokens. 50% goes to you. 10 goes to the person who referred you to this. Another 20 goes to additional referral bonuses to the people who referred you into this. So 30 of it goes to the compensation program, to the sales management program that we have. And then 20 of it goes to the owners of the Helium network, the HNT partner. So the company keeps 20% and they pay out 80%, with 50% of it going to you, and then the remainder going to the field. So that's how the program works. This is very robust. It's a very high-paying program. You'll see in a sec. I'm going to give you an example. So look, you can build teams if you'd like. You don't have to. If you want to just do this with no teams, that's fine. You can just place these boxes at people's houses like I'm going to show you, where you own the boxes and you're just referring people in to be hosts of these boxes, or you can bring them in as an affiliate partner and then they can get their own box. So either way, whichever way you want to do it. So we're going to use an example here where each hotspot is earning 100 HNT per month, 100 tokens per month. Now the average in the iHub hotspot world, the average around the whole world, is 149 per month. So this example I'm giving you is 33% less than what the average is. So this is definitely a conservative estimate. So let's say that you refer 35 people. You find over the course of, let's say it takes you a year, you get 35 people to either become a free affiliate and have a box themselves, or you find 35 people who are not even interested in becoming an affiliate, but they'll let you host a box and you place it there. And that's it. That's all that happens. And if nothing else happens ever again, nobody does anything else, 35 boxes that you've placed over the course of a year. Well, the first 5 boxes that you place are called what's called your pro team. So you're going to make 500 helium tokens, because 5 people times 100 is 500 tokens. Now your bronze team is the next 10, 6 through 15. The next 10 people, that's 1,000 helium tokens. The next is your silver team. So your silver team is 1,000 helium tokens. And then the gold team. Now this could go to unlimited. You could have 100, 500, 1,000, whatever you want. We're only going to say 35 total. So your gold team would have 10 people in it. And that would be another 1,000 helium tokens. Now this is on a monthly basis. So you're going to get a 10% match on that pro team, those 500 HNT. That means you get 50. You're going to get 100 HNT on your bronze team because you get a 15% match on 1,000 tokens. You're going to get a 20% match on your silver team the boxes. Because that's going to give you 200 helium tokens. And then you're going to get a 25% match on your gold. That's going to give you 250 tokens. You add all those up, and that's 650 tokens. Multiply that, that's per month. Multiply that by 12 months, and it's 7,800 helium tokens per year. You maybe have a team, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just you recruited 35 people who put one box in, they never did anything else, great. Or you found 35 people, or a mix of that, to get to 35 boxes. So your total group here and your effort on just your efforts is 35 boxes. That's what the yearly income is. And again, this is conservative. I should be telling you it's 33% higher, but I'm not. $117,000 a year in residual passive income that just comes in because a box is sitting there and you've built out a network. This company pays you helium tokens. The helium tokens, that's based on a $15 value, kind of keeping that as the number as we go forward. It's cycling anywhere between, because cryptocurrency goes up and down on a daily basis, but it generally goes up throughout the year, which I showed with, I think I showed you already. That's what's happening with it. But so at $15 value, that's $117,000 a year. Right now, today, I think we're at like 11 or 12, so it's still over $100,000 a year. And I'll show you what's going to happen with that as we go. So that's just from you, nobody built a team or anything like that. There aren't other people recruiting people. You just placed 35 boxes. Now, Chuck Hansen, who's one of the founders of of the iHub Global affiliate program, he said, I would rather earn 5, 10, or 15% off of thousands of hotspots than 100% of my own that I place. So that's kind of a cool thing. And the reason for that is this is one that was placed in an area in Vero Beach, Florida. And, in the last 30 days, it was only active for several days, but 379 tokens. I mean, you can multiply that on a 30-day average at 323 roughly tokens times $15 over the course of 30 days. $4,856 is what it produced in dollars. And to date, this has done 976, so 14,000. This was placed actually 3 months ago, I believe, is when this was placed. So the person who made the referral fee on this is earning about $485.55 per month because they placed it. Or they brought someone in who placed it. So they recruited someone. That's exactly what happened here. They recruited someone who put in their own box. The person who recruited them is making $485 a month because the person who owns the box is making $44,856 per month. So this is an exciting program. And I'm going to show you what happens if you build a team and how it works. I'm not going to give numbers in here because the numbers are just ridiculous. It really, I don't want to turn anybody off, but these are some big numbers. So again, you're going to make 10% on the people that you bring in your pro team, the first 5. You're going to get 10% match on helium tokens for anything that their personal machines, devices do. Your bronze team, when you'll get the 15%, like we talked about before, on personally recruited affiliates. But as those affiliates recruit others who recruit others, the first 5 that they recruit, those go into what's called your bronze code. And this is to unlimited levels. And so basically forever, you're going to get paid no matter how big that team gets, no matter how much of a spider web it creates. The first 5 that everybody brings in, you get a 5% match on them to infinity. And then the same thing happens with your silver team at a higher level. You make 20% on the personals and you make 10% on the first 5 that come in from everyone that gets recruited. And then the gold team, more, 25% on your personals. By the time you have 25 people on your team that you've personally recruited, you're now in the gold, and you get a 15% gold code match, as we call it. Now, the interesting thing here is that there's one other nice thing that happens is as you promote and become higher ranking affiliate, like from pro to bronze and then to silver and then to gold, you can pick up anywhere between 10 and 25% code match back on the original team that you brought in to infinity. So this is very powerful. And for people who've ever built teams before, It doesn't matter if you bring your best people in first or last. It doesn't matter. You're going to make money everywhere to infinity as long as you're willing to build somewhat of a team. And so that's how this works. So again, it's free to join. There's no purchase required to do anything. You can if you want. There's no monthly requirements, and we have no hoops to jump through. There's nothing that you have to do that's required of you to make money in this. Whenever tokens happen, you need to have a wallet that's set up, which is great. What I'll also tell you, and then we'll finish with this and I'll open it up for questions, is that I've shown you the Helium and iHub Global program and how they are intermeshed and intermingled together, and they're partners. So on the left side of this equation, we've been showing you the circles, which is the Helium tokens. You earn Helium tokens via mining. Okay, I already explained that, how that works. But you also earn more money through Helium tokens when companies that, like the ones that we talked about, buy data credits via Helium network tokens. They have to buy Helium tokens to be able to use the network. And as they buy them, that in turn goes into the value of Helium. So that means that you earn now for building up this network. That's great. It's like the carrot and the stick. They put something there, everybody goes after the carrot, great, you get paid, you make lots of money, you're making residual, you're a pig farmer, you have a passive income generator, fantastic. But you're going to earn more money later, now and later, as companies use the network more and more and more. Every time data goes through these networks, you're earning because you own part of the network. You have a residual data play on this, in addition to the mining. Very exciting. It's actually can be bigger than the mining. So right now, it's set up like this. It's about even split, about the Helium and the investors, the hotspot infrastructure, and the network data transfer. They're all just about even. The network data transfer is a little bit smaller than the others. That's kind of where the income is coming through this network. But look what's going to happen over time. See, right now, we're in year zero. We're still in year zero. We're not at year one yet, really. So it's just at the beginning, and that's where we are. But as time goes on, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the road, you can see that the green, which is where you're making your money from data transfer, you can see how you're going to make more of your money from data being used on the network, from companies using it, than you will from mining. This is a beautiful thing. It's why this cryptocurrency, Helium, has become so steady in the industry and growing so steadily. And it's going to keep doing that because it's tied to an infrastructure project. And so the company keeps making less and less over time, and you keep getting less and less Helium over time, but you keep getting more and more from the data over time. I mean, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And so this is where, if you go to cryptocurrencypriceprediction.com, it's one of the top, if not the top, crypto prediction organization in the world. They're very conservative. They like to be right and err on the side of the conservative side. So they're predicting that by December of this year, it's going to go from $12, $13, $14, $15 to $73. Imagine what that does to those income projections that I showed you. Imagine in 2022 when they feel it's going to go to 231, and 2025 when it goes to 621. If these predictions come true, like it says there, there'll be a lot of very happy people. And then we're going to be able to give a lot to organizations that we work with, because our founders of the company has, since 2007, have worked with vivakids.org. They founded it. It's a 501c3. 1% goes to nonprofit automatically. So they're setting themselves up to be a B Corp, a benefit corp, which is very hard to do. And there will be future vacations with a purpose, trips where we can go on missions together, because as affiliates, we're going to be making a difference. And that's a little bit right here just about the schedule. We have, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday blanketed with all kinds of overviews regularly during the week at 9 on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Training calls, getting started calls, and then Fridays we do a funnel training at 2 o'clock for people who want to utilize the internet for funnels. So that's it. That's our comprehensive overview. I've tried to give you as much as I possibly could in 30 minutes. I know it's a lot of time and a lot of information, but I wanted to buzz through that and give you everything that I possibly have learned about this in the fastest possible fashion. And I think that's what I've tried to do. And so if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat box. I have the chat box open, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. So I'm here.
Hey, Tony, I have a question about, you had talked about the range of these boxes. You mentioned 2, 3, 10, 20. What the range of the box? Are there different boxes that produce a wider range, or is it something in the air around your house? I mean, that's just a very big range, 2 to 40 miles.
Absolutely. So the reason I say that is, Matt, is because it's Matt, right? Is that Matt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Matt. So the reason I say that is because in rural areas that are kind of hilly, like where I live in Connecticut, it's kind of rolling hills. You're not, unless you're up really high, you're not going to get incredible amounts of distance. Okay, unless you're up high. I happen to be up high, so line of sight is one of the things that happens. So if there's a lot of mountains around you and things like that, then it's going to be a shorter distance. The average distance is about 3 miles, just to give you an idea. The reason I said it can go up to 30, 40 miles is because across water, it can. So you'll have people that are across large bodies of water that are 40 miles across, and they're connecting with boxes that are all the way out there. Or like in Las Vegas, like I have a friend of mine who has a box in Las Vegas, and he's able to connect like 17 miles out because he's on the 12th floor of a building and he's up high and it's flat. So it really is geography more than anything. So that, what we have, Matt, is we actually have a technology that they just announced last night. iHub did, where they bought a company that has a proprietary technology where we're going to be able to download an app. It's called Helium Tracker. You can sign up for the beta for it now. It's not available yet. It's going to be available in beta testing for a group, and then within probably 30 days or so, it'll be available to everyone. But it's going to allow everyone, you can basically pinpoint on a map where you're looking to put a box, and it'll tell you how far it's going to go. It has topography and every type of, sighting distance, everything. It takes into account trees, you name it, everything. And it knows exactly how your box is going to perform. So it's going to take all the guesswork out of it. So you can actually strategize on how to do this and set up these coverage networks and get rewarded disproportionately because you have information. So I hope that helps, Matt. The answer to this is, if you take a Helium box and you just put it next to your Wi-Fi router in your basement or in a closet because you don't want anybody to see it, then it's not going to work as well. You might get 3 or 4 or 5 tokens a month. But what you want to do, the trick is to put it as high as you can on your property, so in your house if you're doing that, and to have it near a window so there's kind of line of sight, so it works better. Now, you can also get an external antenna, put it up in a tree, put it on top of a satellite dish on your house, put it wherever you want, mount it to the side of your house, so you can do that. So that's something you'll learn as you go, and it's not rocket science. They have an actual app that tells you how to do this. So hope that helps, Matt.
Yeah, thanks. So let's just say my neighbor across the street has a box that I had no idea he had, and I plug mine in. Does mine sync up with his, and we start making more Helium network tokens together, even though we are not part of the same referral network?
Correct. That's right. The whole network. So you'll know before you plug it in if your neighbor has one hooked up or not, because it's public knowledge on a coverage map. And so you can see every box in the entire world exactly how it's performing, and you can gauge where to place yours, and you can gauge how much you're going to make, either just on your own through a coverage map, or if you use our tracking, Helium tracking app, when it comes out, it'll tell you immediately exactly what you're going to do.
Okay, and then just a hypothetical situation, which I don't know if it would ever happen, but let's just say every 2 miles from my house to yours, there's a box. Would my box be working with yours to make more tokens?
Yeah, well, you won't be really working in concert with mine. You'll be working in concert with all the boxes that can see yours within the area. However, there is this thing called proof of coverage that comes up, and as we get more detailed into stuff at some point later. But Yeah, there's a definite advantage to having a relayed network, like one to the next, to the next, to the next. It provides this thing called proof of coverage, and you get rewarded for that. So you get rewarded for these good behaviors in the network by placing boxes that increase coverage. Like right now in Manhattan, just Manhattan, New York, you don't want to put a box in Manhattan really right now. They've already blanketed that area. They've got all the boxes they need. I mean, you can. You'll make a little bit of money, but you'd be better off finding something in the Bronx or somewhere in the other four boroughs or heading out somewhere else. Likewise, you could put it in the middle of nowhere, and if you could have a cornfield in Iowa that doesn't have any boxes within hundreds of miles, as long as you place more than one box and they interconnect, it'll multiply your mining capacity. And so we recommend in rural areas where there are no boxes that you get a pack of 6 boxes and place them maybe like a half a mile apart or a mile apart or something like that. And then that kind of says to the Helium network that you are a pioneer, you are planting a flag, you've created a little mini network within ours. It's not attached to any other big networks, but you've given proof of coverage for that area. And so now it's like, great, you're a beacon to everybody else who wants to come in and piggyback off your signals that you've created in your network. And every time 6 more come in, 10 more come in, whatever it is, you will be able to multiply your earnings. And so the sweet spot of this thing is having like 6, 7, 8, 10 connected to your box so that you can continue to multiply your earnings. And again, it's not like your box is performing any different. It's just that you're doing a proof of coverage to the network, and so they're going to reward you for that disproportionately. Okay?
Yep, thanks.
All right, you got it. I've got, let's see, before we get to any verbal questions, let me go through this real quick here. So, Ken, is this in Canada? Yes, it is in Canada. Ken, it's worldwide. It's everywhere in the world. Wherever someone feels like they can place a network, that's great. Jonathan, how do you scale a team? How do you scale without a team and on your own? Well, you can just go around to businesses in your town and go to the fire department, the library, the town hall, wherever, and a box is a box. And so if you're just, putting boxes around with no team, there are lots of people who do that. I know somebody who has 250 boxes and he doesn't have anybody on his team. He just goes around and sets up restaurants and goes into little areas and sets up 6 boxes here, 6 there, then goes to the next town, does the same thing. And, that way I was showing you 10% and 15% overrides. Well, you're getting 50% on those. So, if you had 35 boxes that were just your own that you placed, you're probably making, a lot more than 117,000. So just to give you an idea there. So yeah, you can just set up boxes. You can place them anywhere. You can actually go to a family member or a friend or a business person and say, hey, I'm going to put this box in your house and we're going to set you up a Helium wallet. And for you hosting the box in your house or business, you're going to get 10% of everything that it mines, and it's going to show up in your Helium wallet, and you can turn it into cash if you'd like. And at the end, within a 90-day period, if you want to buy it, you'll get 50% instead. And so we have those programs as well. It's called the Owner Host program. So that's available as well. Boxes cost $500. They are in very short supply right now, like extremely short supply. It's going to take about 90 days if you order one and pre-order. We're taking pre-orders right now. It's just due to COVID. They're catching up on manufacturing. Within about 3 months, they'll be caught up. But that's where we are right now. And boxes cost about $500. So a 6-pack Ken would be $3,000. And do they have to be hardwired? Kurt, no, they can be on a Wi-Fi. You can hardwire them if you want, but they don't have to be. And I'll give you a tip right now for people that want to know. If you open up, these boxes come with instructions, and most people, as we all know, don't read the manual. So there's a simple instruction, like 2 paragraphs, where it teaches someone to increase their mining capacity by, instead of just turning it on to the wireless network and putting in the code, why not take an extra 30 seconds or a minute and open up a port? That's what we call it. It's digital. And you can go in. It's very simple to do. There's instructions on how to do it. It takes about a minute. And when you open up a port, you'll get rewarded for that from the network because it makes that box not have to scramble around to figure out what port it's using and when and is it secure and all this other stuff. It's just a direct port. I happen to do that with all my devices at my house anyway, so I did it with my devices here just by default that I did wherever I went and set them up. So that's it. So how many boxes I did? I started out with 3. That's because that's all I could get. So you can get as many as you want. You can get 1. You can get whenever they're available. You can get as many as you want. The more you have, the more you can go out there and do things. So I'm going to share my screen right here as well. So hope you guys can see this. And if anybody has a verbal question, go ahead. But I'm just going to share with you a little bit. Let me minimize the chat box to get it out of the way for me here. So this is a friend of mine. Let's see, where is this one? This one is in. I gotta keep track of this. I have several of them up here. I apologize, guys. I'm like, okay. All right, so this is Slow Marmalade Duck. Every hotspot comes with 2 adjectives and an animal name. So this one happens to be in Honolulu. Happens to be my nephew in Honolulu, and he's in an apartment several stories up, and he put a hotspot there. And right now he's earning 124 helium tokens per month is his run rate. So he actually owns that box. So he gets 50% of that, which is, call it 60 tokens. 60 tokens times $12 is $720 a month. So he spent $500 on a box in his first month. He's going to earn $720. Not a bad investment. Here's a friend of mine who is in, let's see, where is this one? This one is in Alberta, Canada. So I have a friend who's in Alberta. It's in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And it's called Howlington Chicken. You guys can go to helium.explorer on the internet. This one's producing 96. There you go, 96. Not a bad deal in the last 30. It's not great, but it's below average, but it's still pretty good. Here's another one, a friend of mine that is in a condominium I think he's on the 6th floor condominium in Las Vegas. Early Velvet Sardine. Let's see what Early Velvet is doing these days. 340 tokens in the last 30 days. Not a bad take if you're making 170 tokens times, I'll just call it times 10. 1,700, he's probably making $2,000 a month. Based on his take on this, he's making about $2,000 a month on this box for a $500 investment. Not a bad deal. And the last one I'll show you here is one of mine. This is in New Haven, Connecticut. And so this is 73. So there you go, 73 tokens a month. I actually have moved my boxes. They weren't performing as highly as I thought they would in my hometown. And so I just moved them. And I've got 3 of them in the New Haven area in Connecticut. So this is my lowest performing box. The other ones are up around 109 and 179. So I just like to be conservative, but the average for a box is 149 tokens. Give you an idea there.